Washington Justice have finally announced their roster, and it's definitely an interesting one. With a lot of surprising talent here, they seem to have moved away from just fully integrating Team Peps into Owl. But how can they fare? Let's get into it. For their DPS line, they grabbed the Hangzhou Sparks Flex DPS Alfie, as well as Flora from the New York Excelsior. This is honestly a pretty interesting DPS line, and not one I would have expected. Alfie is the clear star here, and likely the carry for the whole team. Despite Spark having a massive drop-off in the second half of the season, Alfie was an elite Genji and Echo in the first half, and has a pretty good Tracer as well. It was to the point where he was a frontrunner for Rookie of the Year alongside Proper for many people. Obviously, Proper's way better, but that's not the point. He's a really, really good talent, and I really thought he'd end up on a better team. Meanwhile, Flora is also a somewhat large pickup. He had a good Tracer and Sojourn, but he really struggled last year and got diffed by most of the hit scans he played against. He isn't the star he was in Season 4, but he has good mechanics and is a decent talent. I think I'll give this one a 6 out of 10, honestly. Could be a 7 out of 10 in the right meta. There are a few points here I'd like to mention. Firstly, Flora is decent, but again, NA has Lip, Proper, Merit, Happy, Kai, Hydron, probably Aspire. I think he loses the matchup every time. Then Alfie, yes, phenomenal talent, and I wish the best for him. But Tracer is seeming like she's going to be incredibly important in this upcoming meta, and maybe even all metas going forward, and I was not very impressed with Alfie's Tracer last year. I have faith he can pick it up and perform well, but considering the meta is likely Tracer hitscan, and Flora is their hitscan and also their best Tracer, I think they'll have a similar issue to Toronto, and Alfie is a very good talent. But considering other teams have people like Proper, Pelican, Kevster, Heesang, Yaki, I don't think he's elite in that region either. It'll be a fun duo though. Next up, we have the tank line, picking up Benbest from Team Peps, the two-time vice championship of EU contenders, and Mir, the DPS turned tank of the Vancouver Titans. Yeah, I don't like this tank line one bit. It has some promise. Mir is a very raw talent that can be developed, and Benbest has shown some promise in the past. But this is rough, dude. Benbest wasn't even the best in the European region. Krendrop was clearly better. And with rumors that he went 0-6 in trials, it's not looking good for him. I will say that he has managed to improve his flexibility recently, though. And then Mir is just decent in my opinion. His Zarya and Doom are solid, but I'm not too impressed with his other heroes. But he could pick them up, I guess. Now, I don't want to beat up on Benbest too much. He's probably going to be scapegoated for the team's problems, and he genuinely did look good in contenders. His flexibility was especially surprising. I don't feel too good about him or Mir as a starting tank. I'll give these guys a 4 out of 10. Easily the worst part of the roster, but they could surprise people. Next up, the support line. They signed Teru from the Hangzhou Spark, coming off a strong playoffs performance, and FD God also from Team Peps. This is an interesting support line to say the least. MT God hasn't had a great run in contenders. All of the Peps guys have had it rough, but I still want to believe he has talent and can compete at a high level. Teru, he impressed many people with his surprisingly deadly Kiriko. I'm not all that high on him though. His playstyle was a bit problematic at times, and I think he gets gapped by a lot of players in the league. But he can be molded. This is a pretty high potential support duo. Teru showed some promise even on a struggling Spark squad last year, and when FD God is at his peak, he's one of the best main supports in the game. But it's up in the air that he can hit those same peaks. I'll give the support line a 6 out of 10. It falls behind in comparison to other teams, but I do like both of these players individually and want to believe in them. I just can't rank them too highly. Finally, the coaching staff. We have Gedemaze as the head coach, coming back after a year in contenders after a pretty impressive year with Paris Eternal in Season 4, as well as JMac, head coach of the Paris Eternal last year, and Danny, analyst for the Atlanta Reign next year. Gedemaze is an interesting coach. I do like him. He's been cited as a key reason for all the success of the Paris Eternal squad in 2021 against all odds. Now that he's reunited with JMac, they have the full strength of the coaching staff of that year back together to potentially make magic happen. I want to like them, but it's clear he is playing favorites quite a bit, and he had a rough stint in contenders, going out early in a tournament thanks to a serious meta misread. I still like the guy, but I'm going to give this coaching staff a 7 out of 10. I just have less confidence in Gedemaze recently, and I hope he can earn that back. Overall, this roster just screams low-mid to me. Decent but average CPS line, but low-average everything else. It's a team I could see punching above their weight due to a masterclass performance from Alfie, but luckily for them, Gedemaze specializes in punching above his weight class. I expect these guys to finish like 8th or 9th out of 13th, but can they upset a Florida or Boston? Absolutely. Watch out for these guys. Thanks for watching.